Go like this, right? There, here. And yet, what you're trying to get them to do is sweep, punch, block. Break it down just that way.
Right.
Go sweep, punch, block. Now eventually, sure. But you're going to have to keep it simple. This is more complicated than any of the other things you do. So it's important. Why do the brown belts need to know this? Well, you're going to be future instructors. But also, it is kind of your job. If we were in a class, keep an eye on everyone. That's the brown belt's job. If I come into class here and I'm just kind of watching, senior brown belt's job is to get out of class, come over and talk to this guy and say, are you interested? Let me get you a brochure you can read. Why don't you sit down and watch our class a little bit. We'll have a break time here pretty quick, and we'll go over it. Boom. It's not my job. It's not their job. It's senior brown belt's job. Okay? So, his job also, if there's a real foul-up going on, it's his job if those two people are talking to each other, to be in their face. Just, hey, you're out of line. You guys need to carry on a conversation, get out of the class, go sit over there and talk. But it's your job. So it's also his job when somebody is just so fouled up you can't even get it together. Maybe you guys have a hard day, who knows? It's his job to break out and watch. So you brown belts, it's important for you to watch and be able to explain this thing. Might be helpful. If I'm all fouled up and I get frustrated, I'm going to quit the class. But if you say, come here, come over here a minute, and pull them out, no one's going to say a word. Pull them over here and say, let's try this one together. And take them through what I just did. Then that's good. You brown belts are doing their job. Remember, that's kind of everybody's job here, is to teach somebody who comes into this classroom. So you're all future teachers. We're different than all the other martial arts, I feel, schools in the United States because we expect our people from the very beginning to understand what they just learned and be able to instruct them before they do it. You're moving along. Before that, you're moving them too quickly. Okay. Mr. Sokin's theory was give as much as everyone can absorb, but understand what that means. Here in America, absorb means, well, I got a set of encyclopedia there. I must have absorbed it. Sitting on my shelf, I look intelligent. I must have absorbed it. I've got a Bible. I know I've been through it at least once. I must have absorbed it. Right? So there's a lot of things there that you have to keep in mind. We're teaching karate to make sure they can absorb and you can teach and they understand what's going on. But let's take and remember this as we go through this. Just break this down. The next thing. What's the next one, Greg? High block? I don't know. Now you're lost. But as an instructor, you should know what the 12 to 25 basic is if I asked you what it was. Okay. You should know what the 13th one is. If you're not learning your 25 basics. If you have to run through them, you don't know what they are. Okay, so it's very important that you not only know how to teach these, but know where they are, where you're at. You may be called right in the middle of the class. We'll take care of that problem over there. Then you come back. How are you going to do it? So don't think just because you got it down that you got it down. I can do this. I know I got it now. You've got to know this. Otherwise, it's very difficult to become a teacher. And a teacher is a hard position. You must communicate. Verbally, physically, hopefully sinking in mentally. It's too late. It's like fourth degree to start learning. It's really tough, and that's what they want you to do in Taekwondo. But they got a book to go by, so they don't have to worry about their memory. They'll just look at it. And when you're in the street, don't worry. You just got to go by the book. You go back, get the book, come back, take it. Okay, so now then, what do you think this crossbody block? Where does that come in? Right here? Number 5, okay. All right, so this cross body block, the biggest problem that I see with this cross all the time like this, right? So I say, if you're going to teach everyone toe, heel, and this back foot 45, you've got to over-illustrate it. Sometimes I pull my pant legs up, depending on the length of my gi. And I say, this is an over-illustration. It is not how you do it. It is an over-illustration to show you how to do it. I step first toe, and I'm up on my toe, and I'm down on my heels. That is an over-illustration. I'm up 3-4 inches. Not because you do that. But I do verbalize that right now as I'm telling you that. Don't assume they understand that. Otherwise, you'll have them going like this. Okay? Illustrate to them that you're talking about together. Over examples, over size, paint the picture home. I step. It should be so slight. Not so you'll hear it, but so slight. So slight. But it has to be the illustration of knowing where their toe is. I've had them go as far as when I say toe heel, do this. So no, not this kind of toe heel. Ball of the foot down. Right here. Get them to keep these hips straight. This is the first time they're going to start walking in number 5 of the 25 basics. They don't know anything about it. Don't assume that they can just get out there and do this. Get them to learn this before you ever pull out and try to explain the block. This is going to be important. They have to walk. Tell them we go backwards. We go backwards. It's easy to do. Anyone can do it. But if you're walking through the woods, trying to sneak up on a deer, you have to come in there quietly. Sure-footedness. Anytime you're doing anything that requires a sure-footedness, getting into a boat, walking up onto a rock, you always do toe heel. You'll see students this. Then you'll see it in the cockpit. So talk to them about this stance and walk. Okay. Important. Now the block itself. Illustrate what it's all about. Number 1, it's going to be across my body. That's why they call it a cross-body block. It's coming straight across my body. It's coming from my hip across my body. Okay. It's going to come across my body almost like I'm punching across there. Almost as if I was going to punch across here. Okay. You're hitting with this part. Okay. This part in here should be at shoulder level. Should be shoulder level all the way around. Shoulder level. Should be about a fist distance from here, my ribs, to my elbow. About a fist distance. If it's too close, you're missing the fist distance there. See? Got to be here. Fist distance. Now, 90-degree angle. 90 degrees. That's from my forearm to my bicep. But about 45 degrees off my body, this point from here to here is a 45. You see? Right. 45. Fist distance, 45, 90-degree angle, shoulder level, coming across my body at about a 45-degree angle. Everything we do, blocking-wise, will be hitting in 15-degree increments. 15, 30, 45, 60. Our body's just kind of made to function real well at those levels. 45 being the most strongest. Okay? 90 being a real strong thing. 45. The other hand back. Don't let them slack this hand. Or start pulling it here. Or pull it here. Tell them they cannot do the block from here. Tell them why. Show. Okay, so Don comes over here and throws a punch at it. Get over here so they can see it. They never can see this one. Got to do an illustration for that. So he kicks and punches at me. I block. Punches, I block. Try to get both sides. See? If you get both sides, then they can see. Try to turn it diagonal again. Trying to help show some of the people that are missing this. Do punching. Block. Block. Now illustrate. Say here for black belts. Bone to bone. Ouch. Okay? White belts. Muscle. Okay? That's what you get to. Okay, so try to do that. Keep this in mind. So what's the next one there? Chris? You figured out number 12 yet? Okay, good man. Got to think ahead. When you're teaching, you must think 4 or 5 moves ahead of where you're at. There's a lot of reasons for it. One of the most important thing is a good speech maker, a good teacher, always plans out his program, doesn't he? He knows what's going to happen down the road. He can look at his clock and know where he's going. If you ever see me, I always have a clock around because I time everything I do when I'm teaching. I know where I should be, whether I need to catch up, or I'm slowing down. It's planned through. Okay. Get them used to it. So we got to get a single bone block, you say? And now I want to illustrate this. I want to again point out this. And I would, all through the 25 basics, point this out. That's one of the biggest problems I see with students today throughout the United States is this. Point it out. Pull it back. Illustrate it. Like I said, eventually all you have to do is something like this, and they're pulling it back. But if you illustrate it and say it enough, we're building that thing again called repetition, which brings in a reflex, and that's the only thing that works in the street. Reflex. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Three important rules in business, right? Location, location, location. None of us ever forgot that. We've heard it over and over again because repetition, repetition, repetition. That's what we said. So start this again. Make it a habit. You're here to make habits. Creating a reflex. That reflex works. Nothing else does. It's too late to think, now I'm punching you in the nose. What I'm going to do is block. Then I'm going to hit you. It's too late. It's over with. You know, once Don hits me, I can move. Quickness means nothing. The old man and the young man. The young man is stronger and faster. But why is the old man there? He's thinking through reflex. The other man is thinking through motion. Reflex, not motion. Not, I'm going to do this. These aren't doing that. Right. So let's talk about the single bone. Again, shoulder level. 90 degrees. Fist distance. Straight from the body. Not here. Not here. Circle. From my hip, circle. The last 6 inches before I block, turn. Last 6 inches, turn. Last 6 inches, turn. It is a motion like a chop. Why did a single bone block? You look at a skeleton, I have a bone that connects here at my elbow. Runs this way, runs this way. Two bones. Connects at my wrist. But when I turn it, I'm using only one of the bones, the strongest bone. Illustrate how strong it is. He's punching me here. I block. It's a strong block, strong bone to block something. Show how it can be blocked. Again, here, here, white belt. Black belt. All right, bone to bone. Bone to bone. Okay? Very important to illustrate what you're doing. Again, with black belt class, brown belt class, maybe I'd do that once a month. If I had a bunch of white belts and green belts, I'd emphasize it every shot. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Habit. Pretty soon he's quoting you verbatim, seeing what you're saying. Single bone block. Single bone. Knife hand block. That'd be what? Number. See, now we're catching on. Think ahead. Know where you're going. Okay? Know what's coming up. You've got to think this through. Look sharper. People are impressed with your system. They know that they've got mental work to do. This is not a bunch of sheep being led around. Through the cattle gates. You must let them lead themselves. That's what you're teaching, confidence. How can you have confidence if you don't feel comfortable? Whatever you've done a lot, you feel comfortable with, makes no difference who it. They can ask you to do it in front of 100 people. It makes no difference. You've been doing it a long time. It makes no difference. You feel comfortable. Something you've never done, being asked to do in front of 100 people, just drives you up the wall. No confidence. You're not comfortable with it. You have to be comfortable. So, know what we're about to say, what we're going to do. Be comfortable with the idea. The knife hand blocks. White belts, green belts, pull that thumb up. Brown belts, black belts. Who do you think they're going to copy in class? And if you guys are out here like this, what do you think they're going to do? Then they're going to do something, self-defense or something, and guess what? These thumbs are going to look like mine. Not work real well. So pull these in your classroom. Here, my elbow, my hand. Very important about this knife hand block. My elbow, my hand. White belts here in front of my diaphragm. Green belts here in front of my diaphragm. Brown belts here, black belts here. Who do you think you're going to copy, though? Right? Don't start doing your brown and black belt techniques in front of the white belts when they're trying, this is what 25 basics are, white belt. Don't do it and expect them to be correctable. It's like me standing in front of a jury and spilling, and then the judge says, okay, we're going to disallow that. Jury disregard. I mean, it makes no sense, right? It's already been done. So once they've started this, you're going to have a heck of a time breaking the habit. And their hands are not ready for what that illustrates. Right? Here. 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 White belt. Here. Okay, black. But don't illustrate that. Here, white. Okay? Here. I'd say like hands praying. Right here. Not here. Get hit in the face. Not here. Belly. Diaphragm. Hata. This level. Not here. Not here. Two hands praying. Illustrate. Two hands praying. Okay? Here, I point. Point. Like shooting. See? I'm pointing at you. Point. Elbow. Here. Down. Point. Elbow. Here. Down. Okay, now here. Sometimes you have to take an illustration and exaggerate it a little bit to show them how to get the motion. This is a big problem for people doing the knife hand, isn't it? A big student, he's going, if he's come from another style, he's doing this. Right? And you got to show him why this is more powerful. So, an illustration. Someone's throwing a punch at you. You say, here's the illustration. This hand is here in case he's faster than me. Right? See? If he's faster, I still have a protecting hand. We always like to have a cover hand on everything we do. So, I block. He's punching at me here. I can block. He's punching at me. My over-exaggeration is this. I'm actually reaching out and parrying with his hand. You see, then in their mind, they start to, oh yeah, I now see why I want it at the elbow. See? But you have to illustrate it to them and say, this is why. You may not always be fast enough to just block it. Right? Then another one may come, and you may be tied up enough to where you want to. Okay? Right? Give an illustration. Talk to them a little bit. This picture is what you've got to paint. You know why you remember kata, monka so well and added as a movement in the kata? Because it's illustrated in the body. It's not something out there in the cloud. And so by being illustrated by the body, you retain it. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to retain. Okay? You only have to do this a few times, but you need to do it over and over again in the beginning stages. All right. What's the next one, Gary? Double punch. This one is important again for a couple of reasons. We're back to this foundation, stepping, then I'm punching. I'm, at this point, talking about under. My breathing area here. I should be breathing. I should be punching here. 1, 2, fast to the middle, same spot. And now what am I doing here? I'm teaching them the first part of breathing by saying, there must ki. All along I've been telling them ki on the 10th one or the 5th one, depending on the room. If we had a room this size, whenever you finally came up, the ki would be there. When you go back, the ki is there. You know why Sensei came up with that idea? The ki at the end and going back? It's real simple. He didn't want anybody to take that 6th step or that 11th step. They heard the ki, they moved. What do you think a drill sergeant goes, hey, 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 right? 1, 2, 3, 4. See, same thing. Routine. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Hey. It was a way to keep everybody from going beyond. And it started to teach him vocal harassment or the ki. But this is mostly where you start to teach how this ki works. This is the important part. Teaching them to go 1, deep breath in, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that's an excellent way to teach them how to ki. 1, 2. Get them to think in their mind. 1, 2. You hear my breathing? How loud it is when I do that? 1, 2. I'm forcing them to go. Instead of. So you've got to teach them the breathing. Otherwise, you'll see them going. The punch is already there. The ki came later. Foundation was off too. So remember that. Now you illustrate it. I say to somebody, why would you want to punch like this? Because it's funny. The body may tighten up on that first one. That second one's going to get hit. You haven't got enough time to tighten up the second time. You're catching with this one and nailing with that one. So now you give them a practicality of what this is about. The guy said, well, yeah, I've been seeing blocks all along. Hey, this is all right now. I start to get this. We're gradually building the momentum of teaching, of instruction, of learning. That's why we do the 25 basics like we do. Why we do our one step like we do. Why we do things at green belt like we do. Why we do things at brown belt like we do. If you miss a step, you're going to have a black belt up here that's not very confident because you missed a step. Right? Very important. Keep this in mind. So what's the next one? Paul? I picked on you, right? Must be the down block. I teach my 25 basics in sets of 4 for the first 12. Why? This is why I do it. I say, here's my first set of 4. It has to do with 3 punches, and then we have a fourth one that's unusual. It's no longer a punch, it's a... So that's easy to remember, isn't it? Punch, then stationary, punch, punch, then here. So I break it into sets of 4. It's easy for the mind to pick up on things like that. If you'll notice, I never correct much more than 4 or 5 mistakes on any of your copies when I see you guys. Because your mind can only absorb so much. You know? So, I break it down. Then what's the next 4? Well, it has to do with blocks for the first 3, except for the fourth one again, or number 8, and that's what? 2 punches. See how easy it is to break that out? 3 blocks, then a punch, or something unusual to the first 3, right? So I take number 4, and I say, well, that's an unusual one. I take number 8, I say, that's an unusual one. So what's the next 4? 3 blocks again, and then what? Punch, kick under. So I say to you, what's number 12? Can't your mind quickly go, it's an unusual one. Little memory things. Okay? A long time ago, whenever we took our Shodan test, they made us do a lot of things, but I remember on my first Q test, they made me count backwards from 100 to Japanese. It's kind of unusual. And they were not trying to make me learn Japanese. They were trying to see if I could mentally walk through something new and unusual. Mentally walk through it. Well, that's what you're trying to get these guys to do on these 25 basics. If they don't know them, they don't mentally walk through them, you're just teaching some robots. Sheep, cattle going down into a trough. You've got to make them think. You're not just a leader up here. That's the problem with our school system today. Think about it. They are led through whether they know it or not. Grades 7, 8, 9, 10. Whether they're there or not. You've got 10% of them that are highly intelligent. Another 20% that are catching on. And the rest are sheep following. I got 30 kids in the class. You can't ask me this every day for all the questions and answers, can you? I'm only going to be hit a couple of times a week. I ought to be able to con my way through that. Or say, I'm just not prepared. And the teacher's going to skip on by. They're used to this. Don't let them get used to it in here. You've got to make this gray matter build. We use 10% of our brain. We destroy the rest with all kinds of things. Mostly cobwebs. We don't use it. Okay. So we got to exercise this muscle. All right, so now, that's what I want you to do. Force this. When I teach class many times, you'll see me go, Gary, what's the next one? What's the next one? What's the next one? Instead of, what's the next one, what's the next one, what's the next one, what's the next one? No, you got this planned out this way. If I catch you, what's the next one, what's the next one? I got you. You're having to use this mind. Make them think. So we know the next one is the down block. That's number what? 9. All right, good. I know the numbers too. Got to coordinate them. Downward. I tell everybody, elbow to elbow. Okay, white belt, green belt. Brown belt in the middle. Black belt down here. Now, what do you guys want to do in class? Up here, right? You can't cheat. You cheat down here, sure, brown belt, black belt, I ought to be able to do a short. No, no, no. Then what are the white belts going to do? They're going to copy you. Elbow to elbow. Here. This hand here in front of my groin to protect it. Now I come down. I come down. Here. Here, you see? 90. Not here. Not here. Here. 90 degrees. See, I'm crossing here. Now down. The last 6 inches before I hit my object here. My last 6 inches before I hit. I am going to turn this one and pull this one back. I'm going to turn and pull. The last 6 inches I'm going to be turning and pulling. I now repeat about this level. At the moment of impact, tighten and relax. At the moment of impact, tighten and relax. Don't be tight all the way through. You can't move fast when you're tight. Relax. Relax. All right, so what's the next one? No, we got a set of 3 blocks. This is easy to remember now because it is low, middle, high. Easy to remember. They have now just memorized number 9, 10, and 11. Low, middle, high. Usually within one class, which will take an hour, hour and a half for beginners, they will know their 25 basics. Or at least have cued in on the things I'm trying to verbalize with you now. I cue in. I use the same speech with every one of them. Low, middle, high. Okay? So we have a downward block. The downward block, I've just illustrated the function, how it goes. Now I need to tell you again about a fist distance here. About a fist distance here. Not out here. Not here. The mistake of most beginners is this, isn't it? Right? So tight, fist distance, pull back. My ribs, my elbow. That puts it in the right position. Okay? So here, illustrate what it is. Sure, show them the down block. I'll pick on you for unless you need to move. Okay, so a guy punches me. And I block. The guy says, oh, well, it'd be for a kick too, wouldn't it? I say, no. You kick me. I block like this. Guess what I'm leading with? My face. We have a different opinion of the low block. Our opinion of the low block is for a low punch. If he's quicker than me, at least I have some protection here before my block. If he kicks me, at least I have some protection. I don't care about being hit. Now, again, keep away from the sport aspect of the martial arts. Although we do sport, keep in mind that our objective here is not to worry about being hit. And if he punches me here, he hits my shoulder, I don't care. He kicks me here, he kicks my leg, I don't care. Sport, he may got a point. But from what I'm concerned about is I'm protecting my groin. So that's what I'm trying to illustrate here. And from day one, I preach this. Sport, street. We're an old street fighting system. Sport is second fighting. Okay? What you know by our fight. Downward block. Illustrate it. Tell them about it. Again, what are you going to emphasize? You're going up now in more knowledge. Emphasize. Pull that hand back. Emphasize toe, heel. You don't say this all the time. They won't do it. You've got to repeat it through this 25 basics. Don't forget, guys, toe, heels. Again, you can't do that and count. You cannot do that and conduct a class. That's Don's job to be counting out here and leading through. My job is to explain and constantly say, toe, heel. Pull your hand back. Square your shoulders. Square your hips. Watch them. They'll be doing this to you. Who's going to correct them? That's your job. Get in there. Your eyes are busy. Try to conduct a class like this sometime. You'll be exhausted. It's very mentally exhausting, but it's very rewarding for your students. What's the next one? I don't know. Did we do double bone yet? Okay, so that must have come next, right? Low, middle, high. Double bone block. 2 bones. We just talked about single bone, what it was. Now 2 bones, right? You can see them this time. This is where I start to illustrate why we do this versus this. Okay, we know that as brown belts and black belts, you're going to start blocking like this at 45.